Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press corps. Thank you for being here this afternoon to cover the announcement of the key decisions made at our 6th meeting of the People's Coalition Cabinet, held this morning, Tuesday, the 11th of April, 2023. Nisambulu Inaka, Namaste, and a very good afternoon to everyone that's tuning in via live stream or radio or television. Welcome to the post-cabinet press conference, which gives me the opportunity to announce decisions made by cabinet each cabinet day afternoon. The decisions made today include the following. First, there's a limited 12-month amnesty on interest payable for municipal rate arrears. This is for residential ratepayers. Cabinet approved today an amnesty period of interest payable from residential ratepayers in all municipalities. The amnesty is intended to facilitate the recovery of principal rates owed by those residential ratepayers. It will be implemented in phases. Phase 1 will be effective from the 1st of January, or it is now effective, to the 31st of July of this year. Based on the collection of rates in Phase 1, Phase 2 will then be effective from the 1st of August this year to the 31st of December this year, 2023. Government recognizes that owners of residential properties face difficulties in paying rates due to reduced household incomes. Since 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic saw many workers losing their jobs or working reduced hours, reducing their household incomes. The 11% compound interest rate applied annually under the Local Government Act increases difficulties faced by these ratepayers. The Ministry of Local Government will also review the compound interest, which is set at 11%, and carry out consultations to ensure interest levied are fair to the ratepayers. Second is the re-establishment of Board of Governors for government schools. Cabinet today approved the re-establishment of Boards of Governors for 13 government schools. These boards were abolished in 2015 and are being re-established now for 2 primary schools and 11 secondary schools. These schools are Ndalainamasi Government School, Natambua Primary School, Andita Kambao School, Budalebu Secondary School, Lambasa College, Lebuka Public School, Nashinu Secondary School, Natambua High School, Queen Victoria School, Ratukandabulebu School, Sheila Central School, Suva Grammar School, and Wunisea Secondary School. The third decision today was the review of name change laws. Cabinet approved the review of the name change policy implemented by amendments to the Interpretation Act and the Electoral Registration of Voters Act of 2012 in 2021. The Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice will carry out public consultations on the changes of the law on those changes that were carried out in 2021. The review underscores the coalition government's commitment to re-evaluate the laws that were enacted without adequate public consultations and which we deemed undemocratic. Fourth is for the Fiji Law Reform Commission. Cabinet approved the re-establishment of the Fiji Law Reform Commission. The Commission was initially established by legislation in 1979 under the Fiji Law Reform Commission Act. Its role is to undertake systematic review, reform and development of laws to make them simple, improved, and modern and relevant to our society. The Commission has not been fully functional since 2006 and currently operates as part of the Legal Drafting Department in the Attorney General's Office. The coalition government policy is to re-establish the Commission fully in order that it is able to carry out its functions as required by law. Cabinet therefore approved the re-establishment of the Commission and the allocation of appropriate funding through the normal budgetary process. Next is the progress of digitization of legal registries in the Ministry of Justice. Cabinet was updated on the status of digitization of legal registry within the Ministry of Justice. The registry includes the Office of the Registrar of Titles, Office of the Official Receiver, Register of Companies, and the Register of Births, Deaths, and Marriages. The registries have manual records dating back to the 1800s, and it is important to preserve the record digitally and at the same time provide efficient and reliable services with the use of modern technology. The Ministry of Justice will undertake consultations with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Communications and key stakeholders to complete the digitization program. Next was the second amendment to the grant agreement on the phase 2 of the rehabilitation of Queen Victoria School. Cabinet approved the second amendment to the grant agreement with the government of the Republic of Indonesia in relation to phase 2 of the rehabilitation of Queen Victoria School. The amendment will extend the duration of phase 2 from 31st December 2022 to 31st July 2023. Currently, construction is at its finishing stages with the structural shell completed, including installation of roof framing for the school. Seventh decision today was a legislative framework for the protection of traditional knowledge and cultural expression. Cabinet today endorsed the development of a legislative framework to protect traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expression. Comprehensive consultations for the protection of traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expression will be led by the Ministry of Itaukei Affairs in partnership with the Office of the Attorney General. Traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expression have far-reaching implications for owners of traditional intellectual property. The legal framework to protect traditional knowledge and cultural expression is intended to prevent the abuse and exploitation of cultural heritage. Eighth is the review of nightclub opening hours. Cabinet approved today the review of opening hours of nightclubs vis-à-vis the permitted hours during which liquor can be sold. Currently, nightclub opening hours are authorized from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. for designated zones. In recent years, there have been numerous reports of brawls, robberies, and attacks in the areas around nightclubs in designated zones in the early hours of the morning. This has also resulted recently with some loss of lives. The Fiji Police Force made submissions for review of the opening hours for nightclubs, given ongoing law-breaking, violence, and robberies are cause for concern and pose a risk to the safety of citizens. The review team will include representatives from the Home Affairs Ministry and the Attorney General's Office. Education Commission, the 9th decision today. Cabinet approved preparatory work for the establishment of an education commission to carry out a holistic review of the education system of the country. This is a major undertaking of the People's Coalition government to review the entire education system. The Commission will make recommendations to 1, improve the quality of teaching and leadership in schools, and 2, ensure the curriculum meets the needs of our labor market. The Ministry of Education, in consultation with the Office of the Prime Minister and the Solicitor General's Office, will develop a terms of reference for the Commission. The draft terms of reference will be published for the views of members of the public. The final terms of reference will be brought back to Cabinet for endorsement. Members of the Commission will be determined through an inter-ministry consultative process. I will keep you informed on the progress of the establishment of the Education Commission. Next, also from Ministry of Education, the National Education Summit 2023. Cabinet today agreed that the National Education Summit must be convened in the next financial year. The summit will bring together a wide range of stakeholders from government, non-government organizations, civil society organizations, communities, provincial administrators, faith-based organizations, industries and employers, and individuals with experience in the education sector. The Ministry of Education will work closely with the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Finance on preparatory work for the summit. The 11th edition today, I had to declare my interest in this one. Cabinet today approved the institutional mechanism for the Tourism Development Program in Vunualevu. The program aims to build sustainable economic growth in Vunualevu through 1, destination development, 2, investments in resilient infrastructure and essential services, 3, an improved tourism enabling environment, and 4, institutional coordination. The World Bank, at the request of the Government of Fiji, is providing financing through its International Development Association, IDA, facility to support integrated, resilient, and sustainable tourism development in Vunualevu. 12 was the approval for the proposal to develop seaweed farming sector, the seaweed farming sector. Cabinet was updated today on seaweed farming development by the Ministry of Fisheries, and seaweed production is a viable income generation activity to reduce poverty for our coastal inhabitants. The Ministry of Fisheries will be engaging with other government ministries, industry stakeholders, and communities to coordinate efforts in that regard. The review of inshore fisheries license regime, Cabinet agreed that the Ministry of Fisheries undertake extensive consultation on fishing permit and license processes. Nationwide consultations will be undertaken by the Ministry of Fisheries, following which a practical mechanism for the administration of the inshore fisheries licensing regime will be established. And last decision today, the review of the Immigration Act. Today, Cabinet approved a holistic review of the Immigration Act of 2003 as amended to be carried out by the Attorney General's Office in consultation with the Ministry of Home Affairs. The Act provides the regulation of individuals entering or transiting Fiji and the purpose for such travel. The review team will include representatives from the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration, Fiji Revenue and Customs Services, and the Office of the Attorney General. Those, ladies and gentlemen, were the decisions made at today's Cabinet meeting. Do you have any questions?
Good afternoon, Mr. Prime Minister. I have a question on regional security. I understand that the Pentagon, there is a story on the Pentagon document leak currently circulating, and this includes information on defense and security in the Indo-Pacific region. I just wanted to ask, sir, if you're aware of this leak and what are some of the risks that the Pacific region might face, given that players like China might take advantage of such information, and your position on that, sir.
Who is the originator of the information? Who owns the information?
They are still verifying that, but so far the documents is accusing that the U.S. is spying on some of their allies, such as Ukraine, South Korea, and South Korea so far. But the documents also have information on security and defense details in the Indo-Pacific region.
We are always interested in what the factors affecting the security in the region. On this particular one, I have not been briefed. I am not aware that there is a concern raised on these leaks of information, but we will be, I'm sure the agencies involved will be trying to get my attention to listen to their brief from their point of view.
Should we be concerned, sir?
Sorry?
Should we be concerned?
Should we be concerned? Not really. It is, for us in the Pacific, we move on as normal. We conduct our affairs respecting ours and others' sovereignty, and we play our international relations card as we have played it all these 50 so years after independence.
Apologies, colleagues. Can we stick to the cabinet decisions, please? Thank you.
Mr. Prime Minister, just on the review of nightclub opening hours, you've mentioned that a review team, including the representatives from the ministry, from the Home Affairs Ministry and AG's office. Was there any discussions on consultations with nightclub owners?
They will be consulted. They will be called to come and make their representations. Not only owners but also workers, because they can suffer reduced working hours if they close early. Those will all be consulted.
This is in regards to the rates.
The which?
The rates.
Rate?
Yeah.
City rates?
Yes, on the amnesty. Did Cabinet also consider the loss that will be incurred because of the amnesty period?
Yes, but amnesty is not new. It has happened right through the years. It's either the loss of some revenue for the municipal councils, either by the amnesty. The amnesty only, the loss from the amnesty will be on the interest. The principal amount will be collected. They will be required to pay the principal amount in the amnesty period. If they don't, it comes back on. Some municipality councils give you a discount if you pay early. So it's a part of the operations.
And follow up, will these decisions not affect the capital and operational costs of all municipal councils?
I think it should not, because they all have these buffer allowances in their budget every year. They have such things as bad debts.
Sir, this is just with regards to the Vanuatu Tourism Development Program. How much has the Fijian government requested for in terms of funding from World Bank, and when does the government intend to start works on this?
We'll have to finish our assessment first, and then put in our request or a proposal to the World Bank, and it's not something that's exorbitant. It's something that we can afford, and it's part of the development of an area that promises a lot more in revenue for the investment.
And sir, if I may, the former FRCS board chairman, Sivendra Dayal, he was appointed in January, but it is understood he was removed in the same month. We would like to ask why and when was he removed. And there are rumors that he had a $5 million audit hanging over his head. Did the government carry out due diligence in appointing him and removing him within the same month?
We didn't. That was not brought in at the cabinet today. It's probably with the Minister of Finance.
So my question is based on the review of name change laws. I believe there's a case before court at the moment. What implications will this review have on that case?
No implication on the court case. This does not give any side, the defense side or the prosecution side, any more ammunition.
So just one other question. A lot of the decisions, a lot of the issues that have been talked about today involves public consultations, but there have been concerns that there have been low turnout at the recent consultations. What is the government looking at to just make sure that there's greater public participation in the consultations that we have planned ahead?
Yes. During our lead up to the campaign, during the campaign, there was a lot of concerns raised about the changes in the various laws that had been carried out. And the main issue was consultation. And that is what we will do. And we may come up with changes. More control or more freedom, whatever the people will be bringing forward to us during those consultations.
So sorry, my question is on the turnout. At least one of the consultations that we went through had just like 3 people turned up to the event. This was for the fiscal review committee consultations. What is government looking at just to publicize these sessions?
You probably missed out the fact that I mentioned it will involve the various councils, Tikina Council, provincial councils, and all those organizations that will collectively and progressively move their results of their consultations forward to the committee.
Honourable Prime Minister, a real concern now on the ground is the continuous water issue that's facing Lami, Suba and residents in Nosuri as well. It seems like Water Authority is just still coming up with the same excuse as to why this is happening. What is the government's stance on this now that they are also putting restrictions as well?
Thank you very much. The water woes in the major Suba, Nosuri, Lami corridor is real. The rainfall this last 30 days has been very low. We had reached the lowest rainfall during this month every year for the past 10 years or so in the last 30 days. So we're not getting the rainfall we require. And water levels are going down, and the water pumps are overworked. If we go below a certain meter line on the in the reservoirs or in the pumping stations, we cannot pump. It will burn the pump. So at the moment, what we have to do is, first of all, first aid. Use the carting option, where we bring water to the affected areas. That has been badly affected by the road conditions. Both of those areas without water are informal settlements, where the roads are not big enough to handle the tankers that come in to provide water. So I must say that the Water Authority of Fiji workers are working very hard to try and at least get water to those that are affected. Some are pooling at the moment. They go down to those relatives closer to the seawall where gravity-fed water is flowing, while up the hill they're not getting it. And so it's a big, very big problem, which will take us about 5 to 7 years to fix. In the meantime, we will have to do band-aid solutions, try and fix the leaks in the mains, and also look for new water sources. The main water sources we are now drawing from are the main ones in the area. We got to go further up, Nomosi area, and perhaps into the Talebo area before we can get new water sources.
So would you have anything for us with regards to China's Vice Foreign Minister visit?
Sorry?
The China Vice Foreign Minister's visit, would you have any update on that?
I don't have any. I've been told he's coming. I have not had a request for appointment.
Sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, last week you had made an announcement, like a major announcement on TELS, which was something new, that you announced that TELS recipients were going to be bonded, and but prior to that, the government was actually telling people that these TELS, they'll write off TELS debt. Straight after your announcement, the announcement was recalled. Can you just give a clarification on these issues, sir?
There is no bonding for those that have gone through the TELS system. Those that are now going through education on scholarship paid for by government will be bonded to serve. Those who have already had their education are free to take their qualification and find jobs.
So, over the weekend, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had called for expression of interest for head of missions for London, Beijing, Wellington, and New Delhi. So is this the beginning of what you had mentioned about the recall?
Yes, it is. And it's the normal thing that governments do after elections when there is change, when there are changes in government. The cabinet and the Prime Minister has to be sure that those that he appoints to be heads of missions will promote the policies of that government.
Just to follow up, London is on the list. If I may recall, one of the demands given by SUDALPA when they had to sign the coalition agreement to form the coalition party was that they be given the head of mission for the United Kingdom.
They're not just given. They name and they go through the selection process.
So they have to go through the special thing.
Correct.
Based on the midterm fiscal review, I think this was tabled in Parliament last week. One of the documents that was tabled in Parliament last week. Yeah. My question is based on the funds that were used to fund the the back to school assistance?
Yes, I see there are a lot of concerns raised about how much it will cost. You're talking about 500,000 for one, 500,000 for the other. Yeah, those are what is now considered to be the budget for running or having those consultations and the celebration. The budget has not come to cabinet. That will have to be approved. We can do it and put $500,000 into the economy, or get everybody to volunteer, bring your own parcel of food.
Sorry, my question is based on the back to school assistance, the $200 per child that was given out to the kids, the
Yes.
students. A lot of the funds were derived from within the budget, I understand.
Correct.
Right. So just, I mean, there have been concerns that the funds were set aside for some of the important projects like the CWM maternity unit and things that.
We cannot do that because that is a different head. Health is different from education.
Just on the review of the Immigration Act 2003, is this an attempt to address the brain drain and the skill drain that we're now facing with opportunities like that with the PALM scheme? And how prepared is the government in terms of the socio-economic challenges that these proposes for Fiji if we bring in people from overseas? I understand that last week the Minister for Tourism, Vilami Ngavoka, was quoted to say and said that they're considering bringing people from outside of Fiji to come and work in our tourism industry.
Thank you very much. Nothing of the sort.
Thank you very much, people.
So let me elaborate. It's about people on the Volin Kaumbula coming back, those children and grandchildren and those that went join the British Army. They're still on the Volin Kaumbula, but they're not citizens. They will be facilitated to re-enter. Okay? Naga.